Welcome to NFL Nexus. So the Seattle Seahawks are just one single win away from the Super Bowl. I mean, can you believe it? But behind what was probably their most dominant victory of the entire season, there's this really fascinating story of triumph and a whole lot of trouble that could seriously decide their fate. In this explainer, we are going to break down exactly how they got to this point and tackle the huge questions they're facing on their road to a championship. Let's just start with the number that basically defined the entire playoff weekend, 41-6. Wow. Look, this wasn't just a playoff win, okay? This was an absolute old-fashioned dismantling of a bitter division rival, the San Francisco 49ers. You know, in the playoffs, every single point feels like gold. A 35-point margin of victory? That isn't just a win. No, that is a loud and clear statement to every other team left standing in the league.
And that's right, the result of that beatdown is this. The Seattle Seahawks have officially punched their ticket to the NFC Championship game. They are now just one home game away from playing for the whole shebang, the Lombardi Trophy. It is a massive, massive achievement for this team, but as we're about to find out, it definitely came at a potential cost.
And that really brings us to the main question we're tackling today. Because when you look beneath the surface of that huge 41-6 win, you find two totally competing stories. On one hand, you've got the incredibly gutsy performance of an injured quarterback. And on the other, you've got a potentially devastating injury to a guy who is a key weapon on their offense. This is a classic story of incredible resilience meeting some really scary uncertainty. All right, so here's our game plan for breaking this all down. First up, we're going to talk about that dominant victory. Then, we'll dive right into the amazing story behind Sam Darnold's performance. After that, we got to talk about the big worry hanging over this team. That injury to Zach Charbonnet. And finally, we'll look ahead to the NFC Championship and what that road to the Super Bowl looks like. Okay, first things first, let's put this victory in the right perspective. A 35-point blowout in the divisional round of the playoffs? That's pretty rare, and it sends a powerful message. Now, we do have to be fair here. As our sources point out, the 49ers came into this game pretty banged up. They were missing some really important players on their defensive line and in their secondary. Think about it. When a team doesn't have, say, their top pass rusher, the quarterback has more time. If they're missing a starting cornerback, receivers find it easier to get open. So yeah, that context matters. But even with all that, a win this big, this decisive, in the playoffs, it creates this powerful wave of momentum that can seriously carry a team through just about anything. Now, right at the very heart of this huge victory was quarterback Sam Darnold, who, get this, finally got his first career playoff win. For a guy who has been through his fair share of ups and downs, this was a monumental moment. But what really makes this story so incredible is what he had to fight through just to step onto that field on Sunday. This timeline really paints a picture of just how much uncertainty was swirling around Darnold all week long. It starts on Thursday. He injures his oblique in practice. Now, for a quarterback, an oblique injury is a total nightmare. I mean, every single throw you make requires you to rotate your core with explosive force. An oblique strain can cause this sharp, stabbing pain with every single snap. By Friday, his status is officially questionable. Then comes game day, and he's got to change his entire pregame routine, staying inside just to manage the pain. This was a true game-time decision, you guys, with the entire season just hanging in the balance. And that cloud of uncertainty, it followed him right into the game itself. In the first quarter, he takes a pretty jarring sack. And for a split second, I swear the entire stadium just stopped breathing as he got up limping. You could feel the collective gasp. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Did he just make it worse? Is his day over? Is Seattle's season about to take a horrible turn? But his response to that moment of absolute fear, it defined his entire performance. Instead of getting scared and playing it safe, he came out firing. On the very next play, what does he do? He stands in there and delivers a perfect 20-yard strike to Cooper Kupp. Then, a few plays later, he finishes the drive with a beautiful touchdown pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba. He literally took a moment that could have derailed everything and turned it into points. That's leadership. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're looking at his final stat line, and you might not be totally blown away. 124 yards, 1 touchdown. But you have to understand, these numbers tell a story of perfect veteran game management. With the defense playing lights out and the running game just pounding the rock against that banged-up 49ers secondary we talked about, he didn't need to be a hero. He didn't need to force anything. That high completion percentage tells you he was making smart decisions, safe throws, keeping the chains moving, and, most importantly, avoiding the kind of dumb mistakes that can let a rival hang around in a playoff game. He played the exact game Seattle needed him to play. And after the game, what I love is that he just pushed away any personal praise. He immediately credited the team, the culture. He said, it's just a special group. The way that they took me in is one of their own. You know, this is the kind of stuff you want to hear from your leader. It shows a guy who gets it, who understands his role inside the bigger machine, and that is an absolutely crucial quality if you're going to make a deep playoff run. Okay, so while the quarterback injury situation seems to have worked itself out, another, arguably more serious one popped up. Running back Zach Charbonnet, who is a huge part of what Seattle does on offense, went down with a knee injury. This casts a really dark shadow over their dominant rushing attack. You have to understand, the whole identity of this Seahawks team is built on being physical, on controlling the game clock with their run game. So this isn't just about losing a player, it's a potential threat to their entire philosophy. And when you look at his stats for the season, you can see just how important he is. Over 700 rushing yards. He and Kenneth Walker have formed one of the best 1-2 punches out of the backfield in the entire league. This isn't just about having a backup. It's about having two guys with different running styles that keep defenses totally off balance. Losing one half of that combo, it makes the entire offense way more predictable for the defense. He's not just a backup, he's a core piece of who they are. But his biggest impact might just be right here. 12, count 'em, 12 rushing touchdowns. That number tells you everything. He is their go-to guy when they get down in the red zone. Having a running back who just has that nose for the end zone is a special skill, and it is so hard to replace. Losing your main scoring threat from the backfield right before the NFC Championship game, it is an absolute nightmare scenario for any coach. So this is where all the uncertainty is right now. Head coach Mike Macdonald came out and said the team is optimistic that the knee is structurally intact. Now, for us regular folks, that usually means no major ligament tears, like a torn ACL. And that's fantastic news, for sure. But it doesn't rule out something like a pretty bad PCL sprain or a bone bruise. And those are injuries that could still easily sideline a guy for a few critical weeks. The bottom line is they're not going to know the full story or the timeline for his return until they get those MRI results back. It's just a waiting game. And this right here is the biggest strategic question for the Seahawks offense moving forward. I mean, can Kenneth Walker handle carrying the load with 25, maybe 30 touches a game without getting worn down? Who's going to step up and be the number 2 back? And can that guy be trusted in pass protection? And maybe the biggest question of all, how does this mess with their play-action passing game? See, if defenses don't have to respect 2 different runners, it makes Sam Darnold's job so much harder. This one injury, it creates this massive ripple effect that touches their entire offensive game plan. Okay, so before we look ahead to the massive NFC Championship game, I just want to say a quick word about our channel, NFL Nexus. If you're finding this kind of breakdown valuable and you want to see more of it, well, your support is honestly what keeps this whole thing going. Hitting that subscribe button and liking the video, it truly helps us a ton and lets us create more deep dives just like this one. And hey, I really want to know what you think, so drop a comment below. Who should the Seahawks be more worried about facing, the Bears or the Rams? And if you're looking for another really fun way to support the channel, you should totally check out our NFL-themed coloring books. Seriously, they're awesome for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, even you. You can find the link for them right down in the description. Your support, you guys, it really does mean the world to us here. All right, with all of that in mind, let's turn our attention to the biggest game of Seattle's season, the NFC Championship. And the best part? Thanks to their high seed, they'll be playing it right at home, in front of their own fans, which is just a massive advantage in the playoffs. So now the Seahawks get to kick their feet up and watch this weekend's other big game very, very closely. They're going to host the winner of the matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. And these are 2 very different teams, but believe me, they both present a huge challenge. So who will they end up facing? It's a real pick-your-poison kind of situation. On one hand, you've got the Chicago Bears, who are the ultimate worst-to-first Cinderella story. They're led by a rookie head coach in Ben Johnson and the super dynamic Caleb Williams at quarterback. They play this fearless, kind of unpredictable style that can be so dangerous in a one-and-done game. Then on the other hand, you've got the old familiar enemy, the Los Angeles Rams. This is a veteran team, led by the likely MVP Matthew Stafford and coached by the genius Sean McVay. His offense, with all those crazy pre-snap motions, is notoriously tough to defend. And remember, Seattle split the season series with the Rams, and both of those games were absolute nail-biters that went down to the wire. That matchup would be a true heavyweight brawl. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. It's simple. One game, at home, for a trip to the Super Bowl. Everything this team has worked for, all the blood, sweat, and tears, all the highs and lows of the season, it all comes down to 60 minutes of football. Winner takes all. So this leaves us with the big final question, doesn't it? The Seahawks are riding this incredible wave of momentum after that massive win. Their quarterback showed unbelievable toughness, and they look every bit the part of a real contender. But with the health of Zach Charbonnet, a truly critical piece of their offense, just hanging in the balance, you can't help but wonder, are they peaking at the absolute perfect moment? Or is their biggest obstacle still waiting for them, threatening to derail their Super Bowl dreams before they even get there? I guess we're all going to find out next Sunday.